of Peachy. Welcome back to my channel, Peachy's World. If you are new here, my name is Sarah, aka Peachy, and we are diving into changes that have occurred 5 months post-op from VSG, vertical sleeve gastrectomy, just to talk about what's changed so far. Keep in mind too that VSG changes you over time. So what was changes maybe 3 months ago versus changes 6 months from now could be different. So the list that I'm going to cover, which is the good, the bad, the great, the terrible, is kind of a fluid document, right? It's going to change based as time goes on. But I thought it would be a good milestone at about 5 months, 5.5 months, to kind of talk about what's changed so far, specifically how my body's changed, the emotions, so physically what's going on, as well as how it's affecting autoimmune diseases such as pre-diabetic and Hashimoto's hypothyroidism. So I'm going to go ahead and dive into that. I do have a list with me, so I'm going to go through that, and we'll just talk about the good, the great, the bad, and the terrible so far. So let's dive right in. We're going to talk about the good. So one thing that I've noticed so far is less joint pain. So my knees, my back, my ankles, my wrists, a lot less joint pain, which is great for mobility. Prior to surgery, I was in a lot of pain pretty much all over, and my joints were really affected. So I have noticed that my joints don't hurt. Those particular joints that I mentioned don't hurt as much, which is great. I love that. That being said, one of the symptoms that you have with Hashimoto's or hypothyroidism is that you get fatigued very easily. I used to be down for most days prior to surgery, and although I'm not free from that fatigue, there are days when it affects me pretty bad. I have noticed a lot less fatigue, which has been great. I'm not as lethargic anymore. Up and moving around, which ties into my next point, which is I have way more energy now. That could be because I lost 80 pounds, I'm not sure. But I definitely do notice a lot less fatigue than, what I've experienced in the past before VSG. So that's been great. I used to not like being stuck in bed all the time, or just feeling like it was a chore to get up and move around like I was 80 years old. And yes, I still have times when it's like that for me, and that's hard. But those episodes are a lot less now, which is great. Let's see what else. I am happier now and have less stress now. And that's 5 months in. There was times through, months 1 through 4 where there was a lot of stress. There was a lot of unhappiness. There was a lot of emotions. But I do feel overall happier now. I do feel overall less stress when it comes to health. This is not just my entire life. Obviously, we all have stressors. But in terms of my health is not as stressful. I feel like symptoms have been alleviated a little bit. So I feel like I have a break, from what used to be the normal for me for years. Let me see what else is on the good list here. So 2 kind of small things. Well, maybe they're big things. But I did notice, and I wanted to throw on the good list. So I don't know if this applies more to ladies, could apply to men as well, but intimacy has changed. And now what I mean by that is that when I felt more sick and affected by my autoimmune issues, and I was carrying 80 pounds more on me, I didn't feel as confident for intimacy. I felt, ashamed's not the word, I just didn't feel confident. Like, I didn't feel attractive. I didn't feel, I guess sexy is a way of putting it. I don't know. I'm just trying to find the best words for that. And now, having lost a little bit of weight, even though I don't necessarily see it, I feel it. I think it's changed for a good thing. I feel like it's just, it's kind of changed that a little bit. So I'm happy about that. Moving on. This one's kind of silly, but it's something that me and my husband have noticed. That's kind of funny, but kind of a good thing too, is I'm a cheap date. I obviously don't take in a lot of food. So if we happen to go out on a date, we normally will, I don't even want to say split something, because it's more like I take a quarter of whatever he's eating and just focus on proteins and vegetables, very, very little carbs. So we're not really spending that much on dates. I mean, we're still going on dates, we're still doing things, but I'm not ordering full meals. I'm not ordering tons of drinks or anything like that. So there's been some cost savings in that, and it's still the same amount of fun and still going out and doing things together on dates. But it's just not as expensive. So that's a good thing, saving that difference there. All right, so that wraps up the good list. Let's get into the great list. So let's dive into the autoimmune issues. So I'm no longer pre-diabetic, which is great. I used to have a problem with fasting blood sugars being very high and then just running pretty high throughout the day. I don't have that issues anymore. My blood sugar, for the most part, is normal. We'll get into that here in a little bit. They're in normal ranges for most of the time. So, that's huge. One of my biggest fears was becoming full-blown diabetic because it runs so heavily in my family. And I didn't want that because I saw how much people struggle with that. And on a side note, if you guys hear any background noise, it's pretty stormy out in where I'm at right now. So if you hear rain or thunder, that's what's going on. It's probably why the lighting isn't as great either. I don't have a lot of natural light out. It's kind of a gloomy day. So yeah, I'm no longer pre-diabetic, which is great. That was one of the goals from the surgery. I don't want to say a side effect because that sounds bad, but it is something that the surgery helps with. So I'm glad about that. Let's see. For more autoimmune issues, my antibodies for Hashimoto's, they're TPO antibodies, were extremely elevated for a long period of time when I first got sick with Hashimoto's. Once I got on levothyroxine, which is a hormone replacement for the thyroid, it dropped down pretty significantly, but kind of stayed there for a long period of time. There wasn't movement for years on those antibodies. And last time I had them checked about a month ago, was the first time they actually started to move down again. So that's good. The antibodies are moving down further and further, which is great. As my dog's hacking in the background. Seriously? Try and record a video here. Whew. So yeah, antibodies are down, which is great. All my thyroid levels are still stable where they're at with the medication I take, again, which is levothyroxine. And there's no adjustment needed at this time. My doctor did say that as my weight continues to go down, there may be some slight adjustments. But every few months I just get my thyroid levels checked, full panel, not just TSH, antibodies included, just to see where we're at and if adjustments needs to be made. Dog's hacking in the background. Seriously? Recording a video. All right, next thing that has been amazing, which I'd love to be able to show the before and after photos of this, so I'll get to that after I talk about it, is that I no longer have cystic acne. So any of you guys that have been super close or been following me for a while, you know that my skin used to just be terrible. I used to just have an ongoing issue with cystic acne for years, and it was bad. It was entire face, horrible, no body acne, thank God, but just, it has wreaked havoc on my face. So let's post some before and after pictures. I'll show you a picture of what it was then the night of after I had my surgery, and to a recent pic. So do I still have a little bit of acne? Yes, I still get the occasional pimple, maybe a very, very tiny breakout close to that time of the month, but it's no longer cystic acne. So it's not the deep, painful, entire, blotches everywhere, which has been great. It's given my skin some time to heal, doing some good regimens on my skin to try and help with that, but thank goodness that's gone, because it was terrible for a long time. And I'm talking eyelids, ears, inside the ears, everywhere. It was just bad. And that's gone. So thank goodness, because that was just, talk about a kick to the gut and feeling like you just aren't pretty, you know, and it sucks. Like, it hurts your self-confidence, and there's not enough spackle, aka makeup, to really cover that up without it looking just terrible. So anybody out there who's struggling with acne, know that VSG does help with that. It's weird that it's how it's all interconnected within your body. We gotta not think of it as being so compartmentalized. But yeah, I feel your pain with cystic acne. It is, you know, one of those telltale signs for thyroid issues. It can be. It certainly was for me, and I'm so thankful it's gone. So thankful. So yeah. Anybody else who struggles with autoimmune issues, brain fog, kind of forgetting what's going on, forgetting what you're doing, kind of feeling like spacey and out of it, that has lessened a lot for me, which is great. It is most days where I'm pretty much on point. I do still have moments where there's a little bit of brain fog, but it's not like it used to be. And the last thing on the great list, for all of you that have been following me, you have noticed that I have mentioned several times the slow metabolism, the issues with indigestion, going to the bathroom, and the problems that has caused me. And that seems to have been alleviated 5 months in. Hoping to keep that trend going, because y'all know I've suffered with some issues with that. But it is something that has been regulated, and I'm so thrilled about that. Like, nobody should have to struggle to go to the bathroom like that. Oh, God. And I think a lot of it has to do with being able to add fiber back into my diet, not just in a supplement form, but being able to eat vegetables, very little fruit, but vegetables. So that's helping immensely. Super happy about that. All right, so that concludes good and great. Let's get into the bad and terrible. All right, so what's been bad? And I'm talking like 5 months in a totality. What have I struggled with? And then we'll kind of talk on if it's still an issue or not. What has been kind of bad is struggling with emotional influxes. Like, there's times when I'm just easily agitated. I get impatient very easily sometimes. It has come and gone, where very soon after surgery it was a constant battle, where now my emotions feel more regulated. I still have episodes where I'm facing that, and I don't know necessarily if that's a direct response of VSG surgery, or if that's just something I'm dealing with, or if it's a side effect from, you know, Hashimoto's or hypothyroidism. It could be a combination of all of that. I do know that my doctor had mentioned several times, as well as friends, that you do go through kind of emotional roller coaster after VSG. There's so much changing in your body, an influx of hormones. So if you are thinking about getting VSG and or have autoimmune issues, just know that that is something that you might face, and it's best to plan with your significant other or friends or family or whatever your support system is on how to cope with that, how to deal with it. Have some processes in place prior to it happening, so that you kind of know, for one, this is normal, two, this is what we're going to plan to do to see if it works, and three, we'll revise it if we need to. But just know that you're going to go through some emotional changes, and although overall it's been good, there are times when it's a struggle. So just keep that in mind. An additional thing on the bad list is hot and cold spells, which I also know I struggled for many years because of Hashimoto's. It does cause that. But as you lose weight, and you lose weight quickly, you do struggle to keep warm sometimes. So I'm always kind of bundled up, always in a sweater, you know. but I'm also struggling with cooling down after kind of overheating. So to give you an example, my husband and I were doing some yard work, and we had been at it for a while, just kind of cleaning some stuff up, moving some stuff around, and it took me a long time to cool down, which was a little frustrating. But it is kind of a side effect of both, the autoimmune issues, maybe the surgery as well, the rapid weight loss. You do struggle to regulate your temperature with thyroid issues in general. So that's been kind of a struggle. I'm either bundling up or just trying to stand in front of a fan and stop sweating. It's one of the two. So it's kind of a constant battle of trying to regulate my temperature. Another thing that I've noticed that has been kind of a frustration, and maybe one of those things that I don't know if it's directly related to surgery, is I've been having ongoing neck and shoulder issues. Now the neck issues is nothing new for me. I've been struggling for probably close to 20 years. I'm seeing a chiropractor, and I have to wear a cervical collar occasionally, and posture adjustments and acupuncture and all kinds of stuff just to kind of keep it at bay. But I have noticed since my surgery, my right shoulder hurts a lot. So I don't know if I was moved around funny, or if it's maybe just my sleeping habits. But my right shoulder is bothering me a lot. So I'm going to look into some therapies for that. So again, not sure if it's a direct correlation to VSG or what, but it is something I'm kind of dealing with on a daily basis. So that's a struggle. Let's talk about the terrible. I am struggling right now with dizziness and hypotension issues. Something I need to talk to my doctor about, because anytime I bend over, squat down, sit on the floor for a long period of time and get up, I am facing some pretty heavy dizzy spells. So I need to talk with my doctor about that. As well as acid reflux. I have noticed that acid reflux is becoming an issue. And I don't want to stay on Protonix forever, because that does have its own side effects. So I do need to talk with them about what our options are for addressing acid reflux, and kind of see what's going on there. The only other thing I have under terrible, I have two more things. I have noticed one, that anxiety is harder for me to process at the moment. So if something kind of sparks anxiety, it does take me a lot longer to kind of recuperate, calm down, or not let it affect me as much. And I don't know if that ties into the emotion stuff. I just know that if it gets kind of activated, if my anxiety gets sparked for some reason, the recovery from it and the calming down process from it just seems to be a whole lot more than what I dealt with before. So trying to investigate like what can be done about that, what I can do for self-improvement on that. So we'll see. And lastly, I know I touched briefly on this before for other videos. The support system, and I put this under terrible because when the support's not there, it's terrible. Understand what your support system is and who you can go to for support, and try not to be surprised if your support system is not the people that you thought were going to be your support system. Just keep that in mind. Try and figure out who's going to support you, who is supporting you, and make sure that you are communicating with them on how you need to be supported. Because support is a struggle. You don't want to leave the other person guessing what you need, and you don't want to, over or under communicate what you need. So anyway, I think I've rambled on a long time here about the good, the great, the terrible, the bad, all that good stuff. So I look forward to making another video soon, probably next week, posting around Wednesday or Thursday. But again, if you have any comments, questions, please feel free to comment below. Remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. And thank you guys so much for tuning in to Peachy's World. You guys have a good day.